Look at this logo. I'm sure right now almost everyone knows it. At the same time, it's a logo of ChatGPT, that AI with which you can speak, DALI AI which can create new images based on your description, and of course it's a logo of OpenAI, the company who's made them. Even those people who are far away from technologies and AI are familiar with these projects. And have you asked yourself for a question? How did OpenAI, only for a few years, become the first company in the field of artificial intelligence, overtake every other huge IT company such as Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, and they have done it without those billions of dollars and thousands of employees which have their competitors. This company brought up dialogues about Skynet and dangers of AI from jokes to the level of the real problem, which is now being discussed at conferences and forums. And you know what? In this video I will show you how they did it. The company was made in 2015 by a quite large team, but I'll tell about the most important of them. Sam Altman is a guy which know how to bring investments to new startups and how to build these startups. In the future he will take position of CEO of OpenAI, and before that of course he had already some successful experience with other projects, for example with the company Lupati. Greg Brockman, he took a position of CTO, and before that he was working for the company Stripe, where since 2013 he had the same position. Ilya Sutskever is a computer scientist of the field of artificial intelligence, who is originally from Russia, and he took the position of chief scientist at OpenAI. And of course Elon Musk, who is mostly investor at this company. Sometimes I'm starting to think that no one of the huge IT startups of last decades couldn't do without few Russians in the team and Elon Musk. In the future some specialists will tell that people in this team were chosen for a reason. Of course each of them are highly quality professional, but at the same time they had different opinion on artificial intelligence. What is it? For example, some of people told that artificial intelligence is a dangerous thing and we have to be careful with it to not create new Skynet, new world war. Other people told that oppositely AI is something that can stop these world wars and bring only benefits for people, and some other people were somewhere in the middle. They told that it's dangerous, at the same time it can bring a lot of benefits. And for the future it helps the company to bring correct specialists there, because people who told that AI is dangerous were founding the same ideas in a CEO of this company, and they told that it's a good idea to work there because the directors told the same like as me. The people who told that AI can bring only benefits were thinking the same, like, oh, in CEO some people who think the same as me, and it was bringing them to this company. Already at that moment the company had their mission goal for what they being created, and their goal was to create artificial intelligence which can bring benefits for all humanity. And you know, it sounds a bit too much sublime, but at that moment it was clearly true. The company was made like a non-profit organization, and that means that their goal was not to create capital or bring money inside it. No, their goal was just really creating AI, and all the money which they were using, it was usually direct investments, mostly from CEO of this company, like for example Elon Musk, who bring in OpenAI some hundreds of millions and finally got absolutely nothing from that. Even their name OpenAI came because they're open. At that moment they were publishing every their new technologies in a public in GitHub. For example, GPT models, at that moment still GPT, not ChatGPT, they were publishing all of them. It was another point which helped to OpenAI bring correct specialists into their team, like for example scientists, programmers, people from AI field, because when we're talking about really high professionals, need to take into account that a lot of them want to create something big in their life, not just earning money. And for example, if you go to work in Google or Microsoft, it's mostly dialogue about just making money. Of course, they're creating something interesting for humanity, but at the same time, they're still the main mission is just bring money. And at this moment, it's coming up a new company, non-profit company, which mission isn't creating money. Their mission just create a new interesting AI which can bring benefits for all humanity. And a lot of people who was interested in this high goal, like build something huge in their life, keep something after their death, they were interesting to go exactly to OpenAI to start work there. The company was growing and developing, getting new investments. Once they even got a gift from NVIDIA, their latest supercomputer, which helped them to make calculations for new AI. But at one point, directors and CEOs understood that it's interesting to be altruists, but if you want to grow faster and become bigger, you need to getting money. And that's why in 2019, sales decided to create a new company, profit one company, daughter from original one, but not turn original company into profit to keep their mission, keep their goal, but create new one. And pretty fast they started to get new investments in this company, and they got $1 billion from Microsoft at this moment, like a first investment, by the rule that you can get no more than 100x of your investments. For example, if you bring 1 million to this company, you can get no more than 100 of millions. For example, in a case if a company will grow up in 1,000 times, you won't get 1 billion. Of course, money, investments, opportunity to hire high-quality professionals from AI field helped the company a lot, and began this moment, they start to grow by leaps and bounds. But the first glory among people who's not familiar with IT, OpenAI got already in 2018. Exactly they were the third company who made these bots for Dota 2. Yeah, I think almost every one of you remembers this situation when OpenAI published their bots for Dota 2, and a lot of people started to fight with them, and in most situations it wasn't successful tryings, and it produced so many noise around this company at this moment, and some people understood that it came up a new gamer in this AI field. In 2018, OpenAI even repeats the success of 20 years ago computer which won Garry Kasparov in chess game, because they had finally a game between OpenAI bot and the most professional Dota 2 player at that moment, a gamer with nickname Dandy, and Dandy lost. He lost this game to OpenAI bots, and a lot of people understood that AI is really powerful thing. Also, to motivate their employees, OpenAI was used a strategy which had become a norm by that moment. This strategy, it's when you give a bit of stock to your new employees, and considering that usually common salary can't grow up in a 10, 20, 50 or even 100 times, this small stock from a new startup can do that. And it's mean if you're working really good and you stay in this company and you help to develop, make this company bigger, you can earn a lot of money. And yes, it was motivated employees to work more harder and probably even during the night. The next step on the path of global greatness happened in 2021, because at this year OpenAI published the AI DALL-E, which was able to produce images, high quality images, just by description. And of course it creates even more noise than in 2018 after those AI bots for Dota 2, because it was a much more clearly interface. It was user-friendly interface to common people who was able for free use it. And one of the final steps happened in 2024 in December, when OpenAI published finally their ChatGPT based on GPT 3.5, and between employees were a lot of rumors and dialogue about how many people will come to our ChatGPT to try it, Some employees told about thousands, decade of thousands, or maybe hundreds of thousands. But only after 5 days since they published it, ChatGPT got over than 1 million of users, and it destroyed ideas of all employees because their ideas were much more lower. Of course, the company didn't stop at this moment, and already in March of 2023, after only a few months, they published the fourth version of GPT and ChatGPT based on this version. And at this moment, a lot of people, including CEO of this company and CEO of other companies, understood that OpenAI created not just one of the most powerful and intelligent AI in the world. No, ChatGPT and GPT-4 were the most powerful intelligent in the world. And also since this moment, OpenAI stopped to publish their GPT models in a public access. They stopped being open since this moment. And it's possible to understand them because their CEO had a vision that we know that AI is a dangerous thing and we have to be careful with it. But other companies mostly think only about money, how to produce new money, how to earn new money. And if when OpenAI was only growing, trying to create something new, it was good for them to publish the code just because they were getting new ideas, new employees, and just creating this friendly community around them. But at the moment when they create something the most bigger, they understood that if they will keep publishing it, they will have to other companies create the same AI and just starting earning money on it and stop thinking about how it's affect on humanity. So as we can see, after publishing the GPT-4 models, OpenAI became the first company in the AI field. And if answering on the question which I made in the beginning of this video, how they became the first, we're realizing that it's a mix of correct decision, of a lot of correct decisions, which people were in the start of this company, how these people think. For example, decision of their chief scientist Ilya Sutskever, which was understanding how to correctly build huge and powerful AIs, because he was realizing that to make AI more powerful, we just need to make it bigger. And it sounds easy, but a lot of other people wasn't understanding this idea in other companies. They thought about how to optimize it, how to run it in a low amount of GPUs, how to optimize the code. Ilya was understanding that optimizing the code is of course important, but the first idea which we have to follow is just make our AI bigger. And it works. It really works, because if for example GPT 3.5 has around 100 of billions neurons, GPT-4 has 1 trillion of these neurons. And it's the reason why GPT-4 much more powerful. So it's a lot of really good decision about how to do this company. Also, it's a lot of good decision about how to bring money and from who brings these investments. Because for example, in 2019 they got investments in 1 billion from Microsoft, but OpenAI was able to get this 1 billion almost from everyone, from Amazon, from Facebook. Almost every huge company was ready to give them this 1 billion, but they chose it exactly Microsoft. One, they choose them just because Microsoft at this moment were like a friendly open source company. They published a lot of features, they published a lot of their code, they bought GitHub at that moment, if I remember correctly. And also Microsoft has one powerful thing, extremely powerful thing. It's their cloud services. Need realizing that when we're talking about creating big AI, not any joke, we're talking not about common RTX 3090, for example, and not about decades of them. We're talking about servers with a decade of 1,000 GPUs. And Microsoft has these GPUs. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of money from these billions were given to OpenAI not exactly in the money, it was given as access to their cloud services. And of course also their goal to make AI which can bring benefits to all humanity. This goal was connected to high professional specialists from AI field who was thinking about left something after their life, build something bigger, and OpenAI was a place which was helping them to complete this mission. And finally, OpenAI with their GPT-4 models has brought conversation about the dangers of AI to its peak in November of 2023, because only for 1 week the board of directors has changed several times. Firstly, everything began from the moment when Ilya Sutskever with other directors decided to fire Sam Altman and Greg Brockman from the company, and did it for 1 day. And it was extremely strange information for all community, for OpenAI company, for other companies, especially for Microsoft, because Microsoft already at this moment made a second packet of investments in $10 billion, and every argument Microsoft had with Sam Altman, because exactly he was bringing investments to the company, and what will be next in the company, what will happen after this. Exists a lot of rumors why Ilya Sutskever decided to did it, but a lot of people right now think that probably he done it just because Ilya Sutskever has a vision on AI that AI is quite dangerous thing and need be as much careful as we can with it, especially after the moment when we became the first in this field. But Sam Altman had different vision that to not lose our position, we have to grow it, we have to build new models, maybe publish GPT-5 models, and because of this reason Ilya decided to fire Sam Altman and Greg Brockman. But only after a few days Sam Altman with Greg Brockman backed to the company, and other guys including Ilya Sutskever were fired from there. So what will happen with OpenAI in the future? Will understand Sam Altman idea of his team that you have to stop developing AI so fast, or oppositely he will keep doing this mission and he will publish it GPT-5, 6, 7 and new models. No one knows in this moment. Absolutely no one knows. And what will happen in AI field, in tech fields in general, and what will happen in our lives, because OpenAI and AI in general already affects on our life through every company in this world, will show us only the future.